All right, what's up, everyone? It is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show, joined here today by Steve Homercleese Bauer. Steve, how are you doing? Are you excited to play the 7-game slate tonight?
Yeah, not doing too bad. Yeah, I love this slate. We're having a pretty good week for DFS. It's what, 6 last night, 7 tonight, and 7 tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So those are good slate sizes. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, gonna be good. I did not have any success last night, but I understand that you had a pretty annoying sweat, I guess. We were kind of talking about it before the show.
Yeah, I had a pretty good sweat. It didn't really work out in the end. Jost kind of screwed me over at the end. Other people got there, but yeah, it was unfortunate, but not a big deal. I didn't play too much last night anyway. But yeah, like while you didn't have much success last night, you had a pretty good run in the Winter Classic one though. So that's got to feel pretty good.
For sure, yeah.
Nice second place finish there.
Yeah, I said last week I felt close to something, so finally got a decent cash here for the first time in what seemed like forever. But
yeah, congrats on that one. That's huge.
Yeah, thanks. We got half the season to go still, so a lot more money to be made. Hopefully some of the viewers have made some money or become better players. That's just kind of what we're trying to do, talk through each of the games every day, and yeah, it's been fun. So looking forward to the second half, and we get a little bit of a break here in a few weeks with the All-Star game, so that will be nice as well. What about this slate, Steve? Do you see anything that kind of pops out to you? Do you see ownerships we should be worried about, kind of that mess in St. Louis? I think it's going to spread things out, but what are you seeing on this slate overall?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything particularly chalky. Nothing really stands out. I mean, yeah, we got Eichel out in Buffalo, and then Tarasenko is ill, and the hunch is that he's unlikely to play, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So those are kind of two big injury, illness issues, what have you. So, and then Calgary's another really good team, but they're on a back-to-back. There's a few back-to-back teams tonight, so I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be spread out though.
Yeah, should be. I think we'll have most of the news outside of the Tarasenko fiasco before lock, which is nice. I think we've got a handful of 7 Eastern, 7:30 games. That St. Louis game is unfortunately at 8 Eastern, so you're not going to be able to know exactly what's going on there with line combos and such, but everything else seems pretty straightforward. I know we both like this number of games for slates, like 5 to 8 games, so should be a good one to talk about. Let's go into Calgary and Boston. We've got a 2.7 implied total for the Flames, 3.3 for the Bruins. Mike Smith going up against Yaroslav Halak. Is it a Boston one night for you here, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, it seems like that for me. Seems like a pretty good spot for them. They're likely to get Calgary 1, which will give up scoring chances and goals against. They're pretty wide open. They're also playing on a back-to-back, and Mike Smith's going again. So I think everything kind of points towards Boston 1. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is maybe a letdown after the Winter Classic. Yeah. It's such a big event for everybody that you kind of have a letdown spot afterwards. So just a touch concerned about that. Maybe Boston comes out a little dead, but otherwise, I think just on paper, this is a good matchup for them.
Do you think Boston 1's going to see the most time against the Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm line?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Without question.
Okay. That was my read too. Just wanted to make sure you're on the same page. We got a question from chat. So good question there. Anytime you guys have like line matching stuff, we can give you kind of our best guess if the team matches. So feel free to pop questions in chat or discussion points. It always helps us out. Do you have any other lines you're looking at here? Are you ballsy enough to go with Calgary 1, knowing that they're going to face against Bergeron tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take some chances, especially just because the potential letdown that I just mentioned. And Calgary 1's on fire. They've been playing really well lately. Gaudreau, just everything he touches goes in the net. Yeah. So they're a bit cheaper than Boston 1 too, and they should see lower ownership. So that's a bit appealing. So, I mean, it's not a jam spot like the last couple slates for them. They were in some pretty good matchups the last couple games. This one's a lot tougher.
Yep.
But I think they can still have some success.
Yeah, and the power play
Maybe
too,
just
right?
having, yeah, exactly. Power play is pretty good. I think the Bruins have had their issues with giving up unblocked shot attempts on the penalty kill. Their special teams can just be a little sloppy at times too. So I think Calgary's fine tonight. They're one of those talented teams that they're going to see lower ownership because it is a back-to-back, tougher perceived matchup. But they do have the talent to kind of break a slate at any time. So I think they're worth getting some exposure to if you're playing a lot of lineups. But they're not going to be a priority like in most slates.
Yeah, they're not a priority for me either. I've kind of missed out on the Calgary one hot streak, so I'm a little bummed out by that. But I did end up with a few shares of them in my MME lineups, which I'm comfortable with. I agree that they're not going to be super highly owned or anything. The Backlund Kachuk Frolik line, I guess, is fine for me as a filler, but didn't end up with more than like 5 or 6% of them. And then I don't really know what to think of this Krejci, DeBrusk, Donato line. It seems like it should be one that should come up for me a little bit, but I just didn't really end up there. What about you?
They're likely to see the Backlund line, so not super interested there. Although Krejci does have the baby narrative. He missed practice today. He just had his son born or something like that.
Okay.
So for all you narrative street folks, that's one to keep an eye out for. But realistically, I don't really love that matchup for them.
Okay.
And they're split up on the power plays as well. Calgary too, I'm considering because they don't have to go against the Bergeron line, so it looks pretty good for them.
Okay.
But one thing I saw last night, at times they did swap Frolik and Neal, so something to keep an eye out for in pregame warmups possibly.
So you could, you could also just play Neal. He correlates with Backlund, second power play. Not that the second power play is the one you want on this team, but it's not the worst play if you got $300 extra, right?
Yeah, it's possible. I just don't really love playing Neal, period, if he's not on a good line. So
true.
It's questionable. I'm kind of wondering what to do with the depth there because if that Neal, Bennett, Jankowski line stays together, they're terrible defensively. I'm not sure if Boston's going to maybe they put the Corrali line on the Backlund line and they leave the Neal line for Krejci, in which case they become a little bit more appealing.
Yeah, they were hammering the Corrali line late in the game against Chicago. So could be.
Because they're responsible, they're hard checking. They tend to do well against other checking lines. You don't want to put them against skilled lines, so I think you could maybe see them against the Backlund line, but it's hard to say. They'll probably give them some time against them.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Giordano and Torrey Krug, the power play one guys, both correlate well to their top lines. I'm getting a little bit of Travis Hamonic. That's more of a floor play, though. He doesn't really get power play time. 3,700. We've got like Hannafin and Brody. And then on the Boston side, I don't really punt with any of these guys all too often. Grizzly, Carlo. They just don't really do all that much. So it's just going to be mostly Krug, Giordano, and then a sprinkle of Hamonic for me here.
Yeah, I agree. Although instead of Hamonic, I'd probably rather go Brody and Hannafin. Okay. I just think they have more offensive upside in general. So
sure.
I prefer that in GPPs.
Yep, that's fair. Goalies, I said that it was Halak starting. He's unconfirmed.
Expected.
I thought I saw he was expected from a beat.
I think because they gave Tuukka the outdoor game, they'll probably give Halak this one.
Yeah, I would agree. And then, do you like either of those guys, Halak or Mike Smith?
No, not like Halak possibly because Calgary's on a back-to-back, but that probably just means they're less likely to generate a lot of shots on net. So that's the one issue.
That's the thing I'm worried about too. Decent favorite for Halak if he goes.
Yeah, it's not a bad price, but I don't know. And Smith at 7,600. If he didn't play last game, and he was playing this game with Calgary on the back-to-back, I'd be way more interested because you get a fresh goalie with a tired team. You're going to see a lot of volume. It's kind of a situation where you see goalies stand on their heads or are capable of doing that. But with him personally on the back-to-back, I don't love it.
I agree. I didn't end up with any Mike Smith, and I don't see myself getting there before lock. So
yeah, he'd need to be around 7K for me to have any interest.
Agreed. Panthers and the Buffalo Sabres, 3.1 implied total for the Panthers, 3 for the Sabres. Roberto Luongo, Linus Ullmark going for their teams. We've got Eichel out, as you alluded to at the top of the show. I don't know what to do with these Buffalo lines. I would guess you still go with Skinner and Reinhart as kind of your top option.
Yep.
I just rarely ever get to anything below that top line with Eichel there. So probably not going to get to much without him either. And maybe some possible Florida chalk here. This top line should get some steam in tournaments. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a good spot with no Eichel. They don't have a tough matchup at all. There's no one else I'm really worried about on Buffalo there. I think, yeah, like you said, it would just be the top line for Buffalo. Rodriguez coming in there, 3,300. He's not a bad kind of one-off play in a good spot. He has a decent shot generation, and he'll see a bunch more minutes now. And he's on the top power play unit with them, full correlation there. So 3,300, I don't mind him as an individual punt option in something like cash games. But beyond that, yeah, it's pretty much Florida. I think Luongo is just by far the top play in net at 7,300 against Buffalo without Eichel.
Yep.
So
I agree.
like that's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah,
and the Florida offense, they've been really bad by all underlying metrics lately, not generating anything as far as shot attempts and high danger chances over their last 10. So they're kind of dull, but this is a really good spot tonight. So I think you can go back to them here.
And Florida does have one of the best power plays in the NHL. They're third for the season. Yeah. So
so you're kind of counting on that power play here.
Yeah, and you're not paying a huge premium. Like, they're cheaper than Calgary 1. They're cheaper than Boston 1, of course. And being on the road, they're probably going to see less ownership than, like, a Boston 1 and maybe one of those St. Louis lines. So, yeah, I like Florida quite a bit here. I'm ending up with a bunch of them. The top line didn't really get to the second line, but I do want a piece of that, unless you're going to talk me off of them. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think they're well worth it. Buffalo in general, the further down you go in the lineup, the weaker they are defensively. So yeah. I do like them.
Okay. Defenseman Keith Yandel, Aaron Ekblad. I haven't really paid or like done a deep dive on any of these Florida defensemen. It's usually just Yandel if I'm going with Florida 1, and then either Ekblad or Yandel if I'm going with Florida 2. I don't remember off the top of my head how they use this pairing on the road, or if they try to use them with one line specifically, like you see at home when they go with Barkov. But those are the two guys I'm interested in using on Florida. And then I didn't really get to any of these Buffalo defensemen, not even Ristolainen. You have any strong takes on D here?
I do like Ristolainen. I don't like that price, though.
Yeah. It was probably a price thing that he didn't get included for me, but yeah, I got one share out of 100 lineups, so just basically nothing for Ristolainen there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just not big on Buffalo without Eichel. I think that Ristolainen's probably the best defense play there, though. Obviously.
Yeah. Just like want to sum up your general thoughts. Nolan's asking in chat thoughts on Rodriguez centering Buffalo 1. How much does this hurt this line? Offensively, defensively, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we have no samples, so it's hard to say.
Okay.
I mean, at that price, I think it's fine. He's I like him more as a one-off than say the whole line together. It's a good price for the whole line. They're a good value. He helps bring down the price of the line. Skinner can score. Reinhart's not that bad, but I just don't love it in general. I think I'd say they're pretty good, not fantastic. Like, I don't know. I would say I love that line as awesome as Nolan says Osmo does.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not really getting there at all. So Eichel's just the huge driver there for me. Even with this discount, I'm still not getting to a lot of Rodriguez, Skinner, Reinhart. So
see, the thing is, they're going to show up well in projections and all that stuff because all of Skinner and Reinhart's stats this year have been with Eichel.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not going to really see that in the numbers. You're not going to see that change in the numbers with Rodriguez. You're going to see Rodriguez coming in with an individual projection that's pretty good as well, and it's going to bring down the overall price of the line. So they're really going to be popping on a lot of optimizers and projections and stuff like that.
Especially, because Rodriguez is like per 60, and he's getting this power play one time. Like, he's okay when he's super cheap, and now, like you said, getting this minutes boost, you would think, still getting that power play one tag. These guys are going to pop, but I'm going to be under the field for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing for me. So they could do well. It's not bad. I'm going to have some of them, but and they've been fine in over one game sample, like 10 minutes. We're talking. That's nothing really. But and like Florida, if they get some of the Florida depth's pretty weak too, and then they're on the power play. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that their projection's going to be higher than what they really deserve. What I really feel about them. Yeah, they really deserve. That's the one issue.
I agree. All right, let's move it on to the next game. We've got the Chicago Blackhawks and the New York Islanders. 2.7 implied total for the Hawks, 3.4 implied total for the Islanders. A very healthy total for the Islanders. Colin Delia against Robin Lehner. And, man, we've got some pretty cheap Islanders here. So we're going to see some Isles chalk possibly for the first time in what seems like forever.
It's possible. I mean, the Hawks have been real bad by every metric. They've played better recently. Like, they've had success, but their other underlying numbers are terrible. You look at them at even strength, they're giving up a ton of shot attempts over their lot. Like, their possession numbers are terrible at 5-on-5 over their last 10 games, and their high danger chances they're giving up the most high danger chances in the league over that time as well. So, I mean, overall, it's just really like the Hawks have bad underlying numbers there.
Yeah, bad on the road, bad at home. I mean, it just doesn't really matter for the Hawks. So, and throw in like super cheap skaters for the Islanders. You've got Hosang for 2,800. He hasn't actually been shooting a lot or doing all that much so far, but he is still 2,800 playing in the top power play. The Hawks have a bad kill. So I'm just hammering this top 6 for the Islanders and kind of splitting my exposure, similar to what I plan to do with St. Louis. Do you have a strong lean between either of these Islanders' top 2 lines?
Not a strong lean. I mean, Barzal's been on fire lately. That line's going pretty good. So I think they'll see the most of the ownership.
Yeah.
I'll have some of both lines, really. Nothing really stands out. They both have very similar shot attempt numbers and high danger scoring chance numbers. The Nelson Lee line with Hosang is a touch better, but it's a smaller sample size. It's much smaller sample size, maybe an eighth of the size of the Barzal line. But yeah, like you said, Hosang individually not doing great, but 2,800, and you have the correlation there. That's really the key for stacking, right? You don't really care what the guy does. It's if one guy goes off, maybe he's likely to get involved as well. So I would keep him in those lines as well.
For sure. Blackhawks side, you like either the Tays or the Kane line here, or the Brinkat as a one-off? Any of these guys appealing to you?
Probably just the Kane line. I think they've been their best offensive weapon for the Hawks. Yep. Yeah, they're scoring most of the goals. They're both the top 2 lines are terrible defensively. So the Taves line's generating more shot attempts, but they're similar in quality.
Yep.
And I'll just bet on the offensive talent of Kane, and so kind of liking them a bit more here, but nothing really stands out. It's one's way better than the other. I just think they have a bit more offensive talent.
How about the defenseman here? Nick Leddy, Pulak, Tays. Leddy 3,400 power play 1 tag. That's gonna get some attention. And then I really love Pulak once again. I almost always get to him, and huge total for the Islanders. I like both their top 2 lines. He's going to be, I think, my second or third highest owned defenseman tonight. What say you, Steve?
Yeah, Leddy, I mean, the price and then the power play matchup's really good, but man, I hate playing him.
Never does anything.
I'll have it, like maybe 1 or 2 lineups I'll allow him in, but I just, I don't want to play him. Obviously, like Polak and Boychuk would be my preferred options there. You could punt with Taves there, 2,500. You could do that. He's on the second power play unit, I think.
Yeah, he is. He's listed there at least.
So, yeah, if you really need a min-price defenseman, he'd be the guy tonight. I think anyone in that range. No one else really has that situation offensive upside there. So I'll take a chance. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, I'll have more of Polak and Boychuk and just a touch of Leddy so he doesn't kill me.
Yeah. So just for reference, like I have 26% Pulak on my last crunch, 3% Leddy. And that's kind of where it maybe come down a bit on Pulak. I don't know if I need to have 26. But
I could see myself around 15, 20 Pulak and maybe 5% Leddy.
Yep.
Something like that.
I like it. What about the Chicago defensemen? They've been doing a revolving door with their top power play. Now it looks like Gustafsson is listed there. It's been Seabrook. It's been Keith at times. Do you like any of these guys? Because I really don't.
I don't mind Gustafsson. I like him just, the situation there being on that top unit. He's been getting some power play assists and stuff, so just that correlation's worth it for me. He seems to have the best offensive upside there.
Delia or Robin Lehner? I wonder if Robin Lehner is going to be popular here. B points grade, B value, according to
it could be.
Rankings.
He leads the league in goals against average and save percentage, so he's played pretty well.
Yeah.
He's on fire. I like to play hot goalies. It's a really streaky position, so.
Pretty safe spot for a win. As safe as an Islanders goalie can be, I suppose.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that the Islanders are that much better than the Hawks, but Delia, he's played decently as well. He's played well. He's a good price tag. I just don't think the Islanders generate a ton of shot attempts. Is the biggest thing.
Yeah, if it would be different if you thought he was going to get peppered here and see 35, 40 shots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. You need the volume to make up for the fact that the Hawks are giving up a lot of high danger chances, and the Islanders are pretty good at generating high danger chances.
Okay.
So I think the thing is with the Islanders, they're not going to generate a lot of opportunities. It's just they're going to generate a ton of high quality ones, and that's typically a situation I like to avoid the goalies against.
Yeah. All right, let's move it on to the next game. Did I skip the?
I think you missed the Carolina Philly one, but
right,
we can
go back up to that. Carolina, Philadelphia, 2.9 implied total for the Hurricanes, 3.1 for the Flyers. Peter Mrazek, Michael Neuberth going in net. We've got Brock McGinn up on the Aho Teravainen line, Wallmark, Martinuk, Williams, that is the normal line, and then a bunch of stuff has changed with the Flyers. We've got a double center with Couturier, Giroux, Konechny on the top line, and then it's going to be Lawton centering Voracek and Raffle. 3 wingers there. That's not going to come up if you're double stacking on Cruncher. And then finally the third line, Wheel, Van Riemsdyk, and Simmons. What are you most interested in here, Steve?
Well, if you want to play that double center Philly one, you can play them with Buffalo one, all 3 wingers. That's about the one puzzle piece that fits if you just want to do normal stacking, no power plays and stuff. Other than that, probably going to be on Carolina again, the same matchup. We just saw this game the other day. I think that McElhinney's a better goalie than Mrazek, so maybe a touch of interest in Philly.
Okay.
Here, I don't mind that top line. They're generating their possession numbers are pretty good. They're not generating a ton of high danger chances. Any line there really.
Yeah.
The third line actually for Philly are generating the most high danger chances as a line combo for Philly, and they're kind of they won't see a ton of ice time, so it's not super appealing. Anyone in this game really?
Yeah, I like the Couturier line just as individuals. I think it's a decent price for them. I would assume they're going to see the most time against Aho, Teravainen, and McGinn, which you wouldn't expect to be a very great defensive line. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's the line I'm going to most here. And then that third line is coming up a bit for me as just a cheap filler with Van Riemsdyk and Simmons and Wheel all being pretty cheap. So
I think as a filler line, I prefer them to the second line, obviously. I don't really want to play Lawton or Raffle there, ideally. And it's kind of the same thing with Carolina. I would play the first and third lines there. Especially Ferland and Rask seems to have some potential against the weaker defensive depth lines for Philly, or at least the third line, if they're likely to see them. It's kind of a tricky game just because Carolina's been switching up the line combos recently, so you don't really know what you're going to get here.
Yeah.
So it's hard to take a hard stand on anyone in this game. It's just going to be a mix and match sort of thing in MME for me. None of these none of these lines will be top targets for me.
Osmo disrespecting the great T. Sanheim with that C value. Yeah. He's up
Well,
to
he's top
3K.
pairing now, and he's
Yeah.
played really well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to tell him to bump that one up after the show. Do you actually like Sanheim? Do you like any of these defensemen in this game? I don't have a great read on any of them.
For sure. He's blocking shots, and Carolina's has obviously a ton of shot attempts. So, ideal matchup for a guy like that. He can get there on shots and blocks alone for 3K. I do like that spot.
Our buddy Furman is officiating this game as well. Too bad these teams aren't great on special teams.
Yeah. What are the penalties lately for both teams? Philly's in the top 10 in time shorthanded last month.
Okay.
Carolina is 13th. So, yeah, I could see some power plays here.
Yeah. Same conundrum with the Carolina defenseman. Is it just going to be Falk ignoring Dougie still? I don't know. Does Pesci moving up to the top pairing, does that get you interested for 3,800?
It doesn't really matter what the pairing is for me.
Okay.
He's probably just going to play a defensive mode against the Giroux line. So, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really... It's not bad. I think that's tough to distinguish between all those Carolina defensemen. No one's really scoring any goals for that team in general. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to be randomness. I think Dougie's been a little bit better with his shots lately. And ice time's starting to uptick again. So I'm almost ready to start using them, but
okay.
I don't know if it's quite the time.
It's just not a great matchup here, I don't think. Just yet. Yeah. Neuwirth or Peter Mrazek? Both mid-tier price.
Neuwirth, yeah. Neuwirth, yeah.
Okay.
Mrazek, probably not.
Okay. That's where I want to go too.
Yeah.
Dougie is a broken man. Barzal or Lee in cash?
Lee.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think Barzal has maybe more upside, but just for floor, Lee's got a better floor.
Yeah, individually, like just more shot attempts, more high danger chances, that type of stuff for Andrews Lee. All right, Canucks and the Montreal Canadiens. The Canucks on a back-to-back, 2.7 implied total for Vancouver, 3.5 for Montreal. I don't know yet who's going for the Canucks.
Yeah, we don't know either, but just looking at who their goalies are, it has to be Markstrom on the back-to-back.
Yeah, because they waived McKenna, right?
Yeah, Demko's on the IR, I think it says, or what?
So, yeah, it's got to be Markstrom.
Oh, he's going to join them soon, but he's not there yet. Who else is going to beat Bachman? I don't even know who else they have up there.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Markstrom. I can't see anybody else.
Markstrom, Price would
either
be
way. Either way, I'm not playing any of their goalies, so
yeah,
it doesn't change anything for me in general.
You like Montreal here? I'm assuming. Big total?
Yeah, absolutely, big time.
Which line?
Yeah, that's the tough part. Is like I don't know. I'm gonna go like the Domi and Drouin. They score more. The Deneau, Tatar, Gallagher line have better underlying numbers, so you kind of go against results versus process here. It's always a tough call with Montreal. Yep. I think both are fine, but power play seems to be the better situation.
That's the
Deneau's actually had some offense lately. He's been tearing up.
Yeah, he's up to 4,500 though. He's not free anymore.
Yeah, that's too bad. But I imagine that what's Gallagher at 5,500 and Tatar's only 5,200, so it's still a cheap line in general.
Yeah, I don't have a super strong lean in this one. Looking at what I did on my last crunch, the Deneau line always comes up a ton for me. I have to like manually adjust them just because they grade out so well with high danger chances. They're always underpriced, at least in my opinion. But the correlation kind of sucks with them always because they're all split up on the power play and such. And then they do get the tougher matchups usually when they're at home, if I remember correctly.
They're probably playing against the Patterson line, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe, which has been not bad on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm. So maybe just a worse even strength matchup possibly than the Domi, Drouin, Byron line. And then, I don't know, I kind of like this third line for Montreal. Kuka, Niemi, Armia, and Arturi Lehkonen. They're coming up as a decent value to pair with the super expensive like Florida ones, the Boston ones. So I'm definitely going to mix in some of them as well.
Yeah, I can see that. If they do see the third line against Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
I know these are all small sample sizes, so it's hard to really gauge too much, but there's a realistic chance they have the best matchup tonight.
All right.
But I also think that Domi could get the third line too. There's see sometime there, and they're better offensively. So I don't know. It's going to be a mix and match for the Habs for me tonight. And then I don't know. I'm probably not going to go back to that Vancouver Pettersson line on the
Were you on them last night?
Yeah. I only played a couple lineups, but they're in one of them.
Yeah.
Although I swapped Levo for Birchie for the power play.
Levo and Bird. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, I was not on them last night, so I feel like a fish if I jump on now. But,
Chasing, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Montreal's a bad defensive team. It is a back-to-back, so I'm kind of talking myself out of them. I don't know.
They are giving up a decent amount of high danger chances at 5-on-5 over their last 10.
Yeah.
But their possession numbers are very, very strong.
And they also commit a bunch of penalties, too. So that's why, I mean, it's hard not to like Montreal with the cheap skaters, or the affordable skaters, and it being a road back-to-back. So I'm not getting to the Pettersson line. I like them in general, but not here. And then same story with Horvat, playing with Eriksson and Roussel. If that's who he's going to play with at even strength, that's kind of a no-go for me on a decent-sized slate.
Yeah, it really kills Horvat's offensive upside. If I'm going to use Horvat, it would be in some kind of power play stack.
Yep. You just go like Pettersson, Besser, Horvat. Just take the best
something
players.
like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's usually the way to go with a lot of these disjointed lines. Just play the best players, honestly. It tends to work out if they're in good spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you like Edler or Shea Weber here? Weber, the lone defenseman on the top power play for Montreal.
I think Edler has a very good floor. He played 23 minutes last night, and he's been known to play a lot more. This is a really good block matchup for him, given how many shot attempts the Habs are generating and their entire team on the back-to-back.
Yeah.
So, while it kind of hurts his offensive upside a bit, his floor is pretty solid.
Yeah, I like Edler. Like you said, back-to-back, good blocked shot spot here.
Yeah, looking at what Corsi's saying there in chat, yeah, Vancouver's underlying numbers have not been that bad lately as far as allowing shot attempts. If you just look at them at 5-on-5, yeah, it's a good matchup for Habs for shot attempts, and then their high danger chances aren't too bad either, but Habs are worse in both those in the shot attempts, or sorry, high danger chances allowed category.
Oh, they
Habs have been even worse.
Wow.
Than the Canucks.
Oh.
But this is the Canucks on a back-to-back too, so.
Yeah. I'm getting quite a bit of Jeff Petrie here, and I don't really love that, but he is 5,400. He's going to play a decent amount of minutes. I wish he was still listed on that top power play just mentally for me, but looks like he's going to be on the second unit, although that is Gallagher's unit, so...
Well, I don't know if they'll do that. I see on Daily Faceoff and Fantasy Cruncher, they have Armia on the top power play unit now. I don't know is that something they practiced? Is that confirmed, or is that just an assumption? Because you could see Gallagher coming up to the top unit or something.
Yeah, could you just never know.
Yeah, I don't really know.
This day and age, right? Nolan's article's out also.
Yeah, I don't think that the Habs are known for their power play anyway, so. And then the Canucks haven't been as bad. Maybe I'm talking myself a little off the Habs here, considering how not bad they've been.
They're so spread out.
I'll have them in MME formats,
okay.
And just because it's hard to pick which lines are correct. Which line's going to go off. So I think they wouldn't be a target in limited entry formats for me. They're a good MME target though.
That's fair. Markstrom or Price here to close it out. Either of these guys, I'm sure Price will have some popularity in large field tournaments, being a big favorite on home ice.
What's his price? He's 7,600. That's a decent price. He's decent cash value there, 7,600. But then you got Luongo at 7,300. I'd probably rather just pay down a little bit more against Buffalo.
All right.
Markstrom. Probably not. Maybe you could take a dart flyer on that in MME, but otherwise not super interested.
All right. Let's go to the Caps and the Blues. 3.1 implied total for the Capitals. 3 for the Blues, Braden Holtby, Jake Allen in net. We've got some jumbling going on in St. Louis, just overall uncertainty as to who's actually going to play. Vladimir Tarasenko is questionable. Steve, I think you mentioned that the beat writers were saying he's likely to not play, but...
yeah, that's their hunch.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
I don't know, they've been wrong before. Who knows what we see here? But we're probably not going to see Schwartz, Shen, Tarasenko, and that's probably going to spread things out. For the Blues, I really wanted to play the Shen, Schwartz, Tarasenko line. I would really want to play the O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Perron line as well, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. How are you treating this game, I guess, is the best way to talk about this.
I'm treating it as if Tarasenko's out. One of the beat writers just says Tarasenko bracket sick, listed as a game time decision, likely out against Caps. So I'm assuming he's out. I'm just gonna play the lines as they are there. I suppose more interest in the O'Reilly line. I expect them to play against the Ovechkin line, which has been the weaker of the two defensively.
Okay.
I don't know why it says... oh, okay, that's just this season. Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at my line stats there, and it only has 20-minute sample for the Ovechkin-Kuznetsov-Wilson combo. But that's only this season.
Really? I thought they had a huge sample this season.
This season, no, because Wilson was suspended for most of the year.
That's right.
Yeah.
They do have a big sample from last year. They were really bad defensively last year.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I expect. This season in 100 minutes, the Backstrom line's actually been pretty poor defensively.
Yep.
Giving up almost 15 high danger chances against per 60. So I don't know. And then the third line's terrible too. So overall, I don't think any of these combos are worrisome for the Blues to face. I think St. Louis is a pretty good spot tonight, and it's unfortunate that Tarasenko is not there at full health. Because last game we saw that line combo against the Rangers had 19 combined shots on goal, which is just an insane number. I think one of them had 6, the other had 6, the other had 7.
Who's this
shots
again?
on goal against the Rangers. That Tarasenko line against the Rangers last game.
Yeah, they were
just absurd.
Okay.
And I guess Lundqvist stood on his head.
Wow. All right, so I guess we take Tarasenko out then, and I'm basically just going to split my exposure. So it's going to be Perron with O'Reilly and Steen, correct? If there's no Tarasenko, is that right?
Yeah, that's the expected. Line combo right there.
It's probably going to be the one you see on your screen: Schwartz, Shen, and Robert Thomas, and then it's going to be Bozak with Maroon and Fabry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabry, yeah.
All right, so just keep an eye out for this. Who knows if Daily Faceoff, if Cruncher will update. Could be a possible edge there. I really want to target the Caps anytime they're on the slate. I think they're just an overrated team defensively for sure. And I don't know. They've got good players here on the Blues. So even with no Tarasenko, I'm going to be really heavy on the Blues. And then on the Capitals side, it's really just the Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Wilson line, but not really getting a ton of them. So can't really say I'm going to be heavy on them.
Yeah, looking at the underlying numbers, St. Louis has had some of the best underlying numbers over the last month or so. Just not giving up many high danger chances or shot attempts at 5-on-5. They're maybe just not getting the goaltending. So it's kind of interesting. The Caps get the results without the underlying numbers, and then the Blues don't get them with this strong underlying numbers. So take that for what it's worth. But it's hard to not play it. Like Ovi and Kuznetsov and them, they can go off in any matchup. They're matchup proof.
Yeah.
In general. So I will have some of them. Just by the numbers, it doesn't look like the best matchup.
It's just Carlson for me on the Cap side. I'm getting him a little bit as a one-off. I think he's pretty much always in play as a one-off when he's 6,200. That's a fair price. And then on the Blues side, the guy I'm getting the most of is Edmondson for 3,500. I'm sorry, it's Pietrangelo then Edmondson. Pietrangelo 4,700, Edmondson 3,500. what do you think about defensemen here in this game?
I X'd Edmondson out of the player pool.
You did?
Yeah. He's known for being a good shot blocker and that good floor guy, but we haven't seen that at all over the last month or so. He hasn't really had the floor that he usually does.
Fair. That is fair.
And he's 3,500. He looked like he's, a couple shots on goal here and there. Not really that big in the block department.
Interesting.
So,
I wonder why he's.
I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, he missed a couple games with injury, I guess, or he was out of the lineup for a couple games, and then he just stopped blocking shots after that for some reason, or I don't know what happened. But since he came back from that 2-game absence, the floor hasn't really been there.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know what to do with him.
I don't think it's gonna hurt to not have Edmondson. He was more of a floor play. So
it might have been timed with the Pietrangelo injury. When Pietrangelo came back, he lost a lot of his floor or something like that.
Sure. Could be.
I'd have to look further into that. But
anything else you want to talk about here in this game?
Yeah, Dunn's my favorite defenseman for the Blues on the power play.
Okay.
Cap's penalty kill hasn't been very good.
That's fair.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a guy. I miss out on the Dunn games. I'm always underweight when he's chalky. So probably will be doing the same thing tonight. And then Jake Allen for 7,100 at home here. I know you don't love taking goalies against the Caps, but will you make an exception here?
No.
That's fair.
I will not be doing that.
All right.
Not Allen against the Caps. No chance.
I will have some Jake Allen.
Yeah.
So maybe
cool. I think Holtby is more interesting. I'd rather pay up for Holtby than pay down for Allen, I think. Despite giving up 6 goals in his last game. Yeah. This is the Blues we're talking about. They just put up 1 million shots against Lundqvist, couldn't score.
Yep.
I like playing goalies against teams with scoring problems, not against teams that score on every shot they take. Essentially,
seems like the
essentially
key to
what it
DFS.
boils down to. Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
One interesting strategy point I should mention is if you're pretty keen on the Blues here in the top line and you really want to wait and find out if Tarasenko's playing, you want to jam him in. What you could do is you could switch some of your Tampa Bay exposure down to Blues 1. That's something you could do is you can wait till warm-ups and that. So you could just go heavier on Tampa Bay and pivot some of your shares to St. Louis 1 if that's something you're interested in doing.
Yeah, that's really smart too because Tampa is, of course, more expensive than a lot of these skaters, so the swap's going to be easy. So good point there. All right, last game of the night. Speaking of Tampa, we've got them in LA here. 3.4 implied total for the Lightning, 2.6 for the Kings. Andrei Vasilevsky and Jonathan Quick are expected to go, I believe, but no one is confirmed, at least not before this show. How many shares of the Tampa Bay Lightning is too many here?
Yeah, it's a pretty good spot. I think, looking at the numbers, both teams have actually been really bad defensively this month by underlying numbers. Kings giving up a ton of shot attempts. Their high danger chances aren't so bad at 5-on-5. Tampa Bay's been really bad, and they've been really good offensively and somewhat poor defensively as well. Their penalty kill and all that's been somewhat poor also. So, while I think it's a smash spot I think it's a really good spot. I don't think it's a smash spot for Tampa. I think the contrarian approach would be getting some LA exposure as well. I mean, Tampa seems like an obvious spot, but LA is a team that I want to have a piece of.
Yep.
Just in case.
I'm getting the Carter to Foley Kovalchuk line quite a bit. I would like them to go up against the point line, but I think that's just wishful thinking. I think we're going to see Kopitar take the point Kucherov line.
Most likely.
So maybe that bumps them down a little bit. Not as great of an even strength matchup. The point line's been pretty poor defensively, as good as they have been offensively. So it's really going to be a little bit of a mixture of the top 2 lines for the Kings for me. I'm right there with you. I like them as well. I always like targeting Tampa. Like you said, bad penalty kill. They take quite a few penalties as well. Classic Kings 2 letdown spot. Is there ever a good Kings 2 spot like where they don't let down? I feel like I play them all the time, but I do really love the point line, even though they're going to get hard matched against Kopitar. And then I'm going to have both Kopitar and the Carter line as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm slightly more interested in the Kopitar line there.
Okay.
But that's a pretty good price on the second line.
Yeah. Man, Carter Toffoli, like they just dropped so much in price based on like what we saw him early in the season and last year. So that's probably why they come up for me. But
Yeah, if you're looking at a lot of long-term stats and stuff like that, they probably pop a lot more, yeah, for their current prices.
Yeah. What else in this game? Doughty at 4,800. Do you like that price on him, or Hedman for 5,700? McDonough. Quite a few options it looks like for these defensemen here.
Yeah, I do like Doughty just because he's turned it up a little offensively lately. Usually he's been a kind of guy that doesn't really do much, so I avoid him for the most part. But given the good power play matchup, he's played a little bit better. Their power play's been a touch better recently. I do like him. Hedman at 5,700. Yeah, he's not bad. I think it's decent. Who else is around that price tag? I don't know. 5,700 looks pretty good. I'm not sold on any defenseman today. Like no one really stands out. Last night there were some very, very clear options. Tonight it's a little bit more spread it around on defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I think there's just a lot of fine options in this game. Nothing really stands out. I'm not taking any hard stands on defense tonight.
Yeah. It's probably going to be just the power play guys for me here. The four guys that you see on the screen: Doughty, Muzzin, Hedman, and McDonough. Yeah, no Burns tonight, unfortunately. Corsi says no $6,200 Brent Burns in a really good spot, so you don't have to like go all in. I'm getting a bunch of like I mentioned, Giordano, Carlson, Pulak, Petrie, Hedman, and Doughty. Those are like my top 6 or 7.
Yeah, I like Pulak now. Now that I'm looking back at it, maybe I'll bump up to 25% there. Now that you look at the full slate of defense, well, just that we talked over all the games and defensemen, it's like, slate kind of sucks.
Where else?
Yeah, Islanders look like the best spot tonight, honestly, looking at everything.
It's weird to say, right? But
yeah, now that we've broken everything down, they're probably my favorite spot.
Yeah, and it's, they're not going to see a ton of ownership on one line, I don't think. It's going to be pretty close between the two, right? Yeah. So it's not like you have to worry about playing massive chalk Islanders. One line might be 10%, one line might be 15%, but nothing really that worried about, right?
No, not at all. So, yeah, I'm kind of liking them.
Yeah. Islanders on a 7-game slate. I mean, it is the Hawks. That's how bad they are, but... I just wanted to go through Fantasy Cruncher quick. Someone wanted to see earlier in the chat, I can't remember who it was in the premium chat, just wanted to see kind of going through Fantasy Cruncher, and then we'll get out of here the next couple minutes. But what I did was just open the Osmo.com version of Fantasy Cruncher right here, clicked on that. This page shows up for today. You pick your game filter. You can take out the early game from today. By the way, what was the deal with that start time of that game?
They have some like Kids Day special just because it's over the Christmas break.
Okay.
It's just for young fans and stuff like that. They got kids doing announcing and all that stuff in between commercial breaks and all that. Yeah, it's just for kids.
Okay. For the kids.
I was wondering because it's no holiday up here or anything.
Yeah, so. I was like, what is there like a Canadian holiday that I'm missing here?
No. I wish.
No? All right.
Take another day off.
Yeah. So this is the uniques right here. On a slate this size, maybe 3 to 4 uniques, depending on how wide you want your spread to be and how many lineups you're playing. For me, I'm doing a mixture of these 3 and 4, so I'm kind of running 2 separate crunches. You don't want any players against your goalie, I wouldn't think, on a 7-game slate. Randomness, you can add some of this, give the cruncher a little bit of wiggle room. You don't have to use randomness if you don't want to. I think using somewhere between 5 and 15, maybe 20% randomness is fair in hockey. It is a high variant sport, so.
Yeah. So what that does for people that don't really know, it'll bump up the player's projection by 20%, up or down within that range. So you might say if a guy is projected for 10 points, you'll see as for every single lineup that Cruncher generates, his projection will be somewhere between 8 and 12. His projection will come in within that range, and it'll just be randomly by every lineup generated. So that's good for a high variance sport like hockey. So you want to have some randomness probably.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to explain it. So yeah, sometimes I forget to explain that type of stuff. So good thing you're here. All right. So this is just this team stacks function. This is just very basic for NHL. You can do a 4-man power play stack, or you could just go 4 line 1 guys. But if you do more than 3 in NHL, you have to include the center, wing, and D. Otherwise, the cruncher won't work. Or you can do a 3-man with forwards only. So you can include line 1, line 2. You can clone this stack, and it'll just pop up again here. Same thing. Maybe on this one, you want to include the 3rd line. You can add all teams. You don't have to add all teams. You can remove them all. You can just, like, if you want to go heavy, if you're making 20 lineups, if you want to only include, let's say, Boston, Islanders, and Tampa Bay, like you just want to start all of your lineups with one of the stacks on those teams, you could do that, and then add all in the other one. Groups, I don't know that they're super important for NHL. You can do some stuff, but that's probably stuff for another show. If you want to correlate one of your defensemen, you can go 1 defenseman. Make sure you choose 1 for this because you can't correlate both if you're running 2 even strength stacks. With 3 players of center wing from the same team, you're going to add the stacking rule. You can also do the same thing with a goalie. You can do 1 goalie with at least 3 center wing from the same team, so that'll correlate 1 defenseman and your goalie as well. And then you can just kind of run this and play around with it. So if you are a new Fantasy Cruncher subscriber, just playing around with the settings, seeing what different things do, seeing how your exposures change. If you change your uniques, your randomness, I think is really valuable. So Steve and I have both had a lot of time on Cruncher, so we kind of know it inside and out. But there's still some things that I like discover like every week. It seems like that I'm like, man, this is like life-changing stuff, or like at least will change the way I crunch stuff. So you can try it out for free.
One thing I would say is that if you're gonna be using Cruncher at all, put the time in, work on it, practice it.
Yeah, and you even before you buy Cruncher, like the actual product. So you see our lineups coming up here. We've got about 30. You can choose. You can also switch guys out if you want to get some more Nick Leddy in. Be my guest. So you can actually swap right here once your crunch is done. What was I going to say? Oh, if you want to use Cruncher, you can go to Rewind on our site and go on DraftKings and do the same thing, but for prior days. So you can see how you like it and see if you can make successful lineups and lineups that compete. You can look at the contest data from the slate you selected and just kind of see if you can achieve that top score with crunch that you would actually use. So don't, like, as Manny would say, hindsight it, but you know, like, try to make lineups you would actually see yourself making. Go in and see if you can be a competitive player, and then buy Cruncher. Buy it through our site. Buy it through just Fantasy Cruncher if you don't want to be a premium subscriber. I don't know. It is the best tool in the industry. Like,
hands down. Everyone uses it.
It's not even, it's not even close. So if you are going to be a serious MME player, I think it's a must. But it's good for single entry and like 3 max and 20 max stuff as well. So it's not just for MME guys, for sure.
Yep.
If you got any questions on Cruncher or anything on the slate, feel free to hit us up in chat. We'd be more than happy to help you guys. Anything else you want to talk about, Steve, here?
Nothing much to add. Yeah, just the stuff about Fantasy Cruncher. Practice, practice, practice. And yeah, in the Rewind, it's free. You can see what other people are doing in contests. It has links to all the contests, and that it shows the scores of finish, like top scores, cut line scores, and that. You can practice. It has the results. It shows actual score next to the columns there. Just so much going on here. So much you can do. And yeah, even if you're only playing a couple lineups, you can still learn a lot from Rewind. You can just test out various theories, lineup construction tips, stuff like that. So highly recommend it. I've been using Fantasy Cruncher for a long time.
Yep.
And I love it.
So if you're on the fence, ask us questions. I'm sure we can push you over to the right side of the fence if you want to be a serious DFS player. Cruncher is the best thing on the market outside of Osmo.com Premium. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry we started a little bit late. I believe there will be a show tomorrow. I will not be on it, but we're going to try to set one up for tomorrow. And good luck tonight. And enjoy your Fantasy Cruncher. Promo code Hit the Ice gets you a free week of Osmo.com Premium. Make sure you choose the Fantasy Cruncher package. Good luck, guys.
Good luck tonight, guys. Cheers.